for the first time ever, two British boxers will contest a World Heavyweight Championship.
You can see that Lennox Lewis has a bit of a height advantage, but otherwise they are fairly close in dimensions. Bruno 9 pounds heavier, 3 years older, the reach similar as they go into the ring. Now, meanwhile, we'll point out there's an enormous premium on winning in the first 3 rounds, because remember, Mickey Van, as the referee, will have the discretion to stop the fight anytime after 3 rounds if it's raining, and they would go to the scorecards and declare one fighter or the other a winner. So there is an enormous pressure on both fighters to do their best in the first 3 rounds. Bruno pounding his fists together to jack himself up. Mickey Van calls them together, and round 1 begins. Lewis starts with a jab and a wild right while ducking his head, then lands a left hook.
That first right hand was an open right hand, and so he is touchy about throwing that right hand, Lewis.
And you have said to me, George, that you don't believe he can be fully healed this rapidly after the surgery.
Not at all, but you got 2 or 3 good ones, whether you're healed or not. But if the fight wears on with a lot of right hands, he could be hurt quick. His hand hurts.
Lewis missing with the right hand. So far, he seems more conscious of throwing the jab, which he didn't land effectively enough to satisfy his handlers against Tony Tucker.
As long as Frank Bruno hand up, Lennox Lewis is not going to waste right hand. It was in his interest to keep that left hand up as long as he can.
Lewis landed a left hook while backing up, no major effect. Right hand over the top as well, short. So far, Bruno not coming at Lewis to try to get anything going inside. A lot of people thought that Bruno would try to skirmish with him at close quarters early. It hasn't happened so far.
Lennox Lewis is playing the part of the counterpuncher.
Lewis slipping on the canvas and now trying to come back with a left.
Frank Bruno should be the experienced fighter and let this fight go for 2 or 3 rounds. You should not try to rush things. Lennox Lewis is in his interest to hit him hard and back up and draw Frank Bruno into his right hand. Bruno is starting to drop his left a little too much now.
And so far, the boxing gods are blessing us with dry skies. There is no rain, and we haven't been able to say that unequivocally in Wales for about a week.
First good right hand. It landed just a bit.
Didn't seem to phase Bruno.
But Bruno is starting a little rhythm with his left hand. He drops it and picks it up. Drops it, picks it up. Lennox Lewis is going to get the timing of it and throw it like a baseball. Right hand like a baseball pitcher.
Bruno lands a jab. Lewis looking a little bit ungainly and out of sync early. Much the way he looked in the closing rounds of the Tucker fight after decking Tucker for the 2nd time in the 8th round.
Bruno is using the old keep him off balance. Keep a jab coming, whether it's hard or not. Keep him off balance. It's a good strategy.
Neither man with a clear advantage in round 1 as it comes to a close. And you'll hear a big roar from the crowd.
Frank Bruno is holding his hands very high. So Lewis's trainer, Pepe Carrera, has told him to go more to the body.
Both fighters relying on the jab in round 1. Only 18 of 90 punches thrown were power punches. A lot of them wild overhand rights by Lennox Lewis. Now Bruno pumping the jab early and going to the body in round number 2. Lewis still looking tentative.
Good right to the body.
Yeah, good body shot, George.
I'm surprised to see Lennox Lewis land body punches. You didn't expect that from him.
Well, he barely threw any body punches against Tucker, and he acknowledged that was one area in which he would have to be improved tonight.
Good right hand by Bruno this time.
Bruno appears the more self-assured fighter early on, George.
And I think he should keep him close to the ropes because he's not assured of himself. Lennox Lewis is when he's next to the rope. He needs a lot of room to throw that right hand.
Another good jab by Bruno, and back to the body. Crowd chanting, Bruno, Bruno, Bruno. Pepe Correa, Lewis's American trainer, one-time trainer of Sugar Ray Leonard, keeping up a stream of instructions from just over my left shoulder. You can probably hear him through my microphone.
Good left hook by Bruno.
The best punch of the bout, that left hook by Bruno, and it backs Lewis up. Round two, a good one so far for the challenger.
Bruno is constant. Lennox Lewis is constantly looking for one good right hand. Good counter puncher, but he shouldn't wait all night. Things just don't happen good.
Lewis tying Bruno up. Crowd went wild for that left-right attempt by Bruno.
He was hurt. Lennox Lewis was hurt. He's hurt again.
Another good left by Bruno. So far, Bruno is beating Lennox Lewis to the punch. And this is a shock to ringside experts who thought of Lewis as a heavy favorite in the bout.
Bruno should be careful because Lewis only needs one shot to have him getting up off the canvas.
Another good right hand by Lewis to the body. Bruno with a left. They traded punches. Lewis landed the right, but Bruno keeps going at it.
And he's starting to land those punches behind the head. The fight is turning away. Bruno wants it to turn now into a slugfest.
And here's the challenge for 140-pound Mickey Van to pull these two large, strong heavyweights apart. Now Van is going to give a lecture.
Don't give me no shit, either of you. Right? Because I don't mind taking points.
Worst mistake that could have been made by Lewis was to get into this kind of fight. He doesn't need it. It's Bruno who needs it.
In recent fights, Bruno has begun to use some of the brawling tactics that Tyson used against him. Hitting with the elbows, holding behind the head. Round three begins. And in the three-round battle, it is Bruno for the moment who holds the upper hand. But between rounds, George, you pointed out the swelling above Frank Bruno's left eye.
Which could start to tell in a minute because he's not going to have good vision at this point. You lose your vision with Lennox Lewis, you're going to get knocked out.
Lewis rallying to begin round three. Caught Bruno a little bit by surprise.
Lewis is wanting a cut now. He's looking for a cut. He's hoping to cut this man, which he shouldn't. He should try to go for the knockout. Good body punch by Bruno.
Carl the Truth Williams was able to cut Bruno over the left eye, but Bruno nevertheless went on to score the TKO. That mouse above Bruno's left eye is in exactly the same location where the cut appeared against Williams.
Good right hand by Bruno.
Right hand. Bruno has Lewis in serious trouble. Let's see if Lennox knows how to hold on.
And Bruno leaped in at him the way he didn't leap at Mike Tyson after he hit him.
Lewis still in trouble. Bruno pounding away to the body. That right hand is one of the biggest punches Lennox Lewis has ever taken in his career.
Now, this is the time for Bruno to get close and stay close. He's making a mistake by staying so far away from him at this point.
Right hand over the top by Lewis. Breaking the momentum just a moment. Lewis appears to have his wits back about him, George.
You go through a training camp of throwing right hand off to the side, as Lewis been doing, you're not going to be able to land a good straight right hand.
Bruno trying to finish. Remember, he had Tyson in trouble in round one. Couldn't get him out of there.
Thing about Lennox Lewis, he hasn't got a defense. He just doesn't know how to fight when he's fighting from behind. He's not a catch-up fighter. Lennox Lewis fighting with his hands low, doesn't know what to do.
Lewis with a combustible right hand to stop Bruno in his tracks. Here comes Frank again with the jab.
Hands down. People have been telling Lewis, comparing it with Muhammad Ali, the worst mistake in the world. You win and you lose at the same time.
Bruno tentative now when he could have had been trying to exploit the advantage he discovered earlier in the round. It was a huge right hand that had Lennox Lewis severely stunned. But now, Bruno appears to have let Lewis out of the forest. He got him drunk. He wasn't able to mug him. And gentlemen, as those replays rolled, Lewis's manager, Frank Maloney, looked in over my left shoulder, watched them, and said, "Oh," in response to the right hand that stunned his fighter. Now you heard Pepe Correa asking Lewis to jab, back Bruno up, and then drop the right over, and then come back with the left hook. Let's see if Lennox was able to listen. Right now, he is the one who is eating Bruno's jabs. Tries with the right, both of them wild and missing. He went right hand crazy against Tucker on those occasions when he had him in trouble and wasn't able to land.
Bruno should be diving into the body right now. For some reason, he's headhunting a little more than he ought to. The body is wide open for Bruno.
Stiff jabs by Bruno, but all of them upstairs, as George points out. Lewis lazy with the left jab and dropping his hand as he pulls it back. I think Frank's going to unleash one of those rights.
Lewis is starting to get his rhythm. He's waiting for a good right hand, and he's got a good rhythm going there. At any time Bruno gets careless, he can be floored.
Bruno still the busier of the two fighters.
The first left hook.
But he lunged with it a little bit, George. Didn't have the good rhythm.
Too much lunging, but it's a good left hook, and it's going to take a lot out of Bruno.
Bruno has been the surer-footed fighter. If the rain starts to fall, that will become yet another advantage for him.
Good right hand by Lewis, although he jumped in with it.
We are past 3 rounds, so this is now an official championship fight. Pumping that jab, George.
Lewis is waiting for just one right hand. He believes in his right hand that much. The little body punches by Bruno looks like nothing, but may mean a lot if this fight goes beyond 6 or 7 rounds.
Another right hand over the top, misses for Lewis. Pepe Correa yelling, "Look at that eye. Hit it, hit it." Bruno's eye swelling more badly as the fight goes on.
Now, Lennox Lewis' jab is getting a little better.
Another right hand over the top.
And that right hand hurt Lennox Lewis. The side of his hand he touched with his glove.
So
right hand is sore.
The pinky finger is bothering him, right, George?
It started to hurt him. I saw him grab his trunk.
40-36, Frank Bruno. I tell you, Jim, I can't believe this. The heavyweight champion of the world, in my eyes, is running away.
I agree with you, Harold. I gave the last round to Lewis. I thought he landed 12 or 15 good jabs, and Bruno's right eye could be in trouble soon.
Left eye.
Left eye, excuse me.
Round 5 begins. And Lewis begins by raking Bruno's left eye with the jab. Bruno now wild with the right hand, and I think you're right, Larry. I think the eye is affecting Bruno's rhythm, and it's soon going to get to his confidence. Lewis turns to Mickey Van and says, "Don't let him hold me behind the hedge."
Lennox Lewis is cocking that right hand just like a gun.
A bad habit of Lewis's, loading up the right hand.
He throws it so hard, though. Sometimes it's worth cocking up. All he needs is one good right hand. He can turn this fight totally around.
Now Lewis is blocking Bruno's jab from time to time with the right hand, and if the pinky finger is bothering him, that has to hurt too.
It's hurting him. You can believe that. I've seen that right hand drop to the waist a few times. That hurts him more now. That right hand is hurt.
But he almost landed the killer combination, the one that put Ruddock on the canvas in the first round. Right hand lands over the top for Bruno. Lewis backs up into the ropes again.
In the ring is no place to ask for mercy. They won't give it to you. Now Lewis is hurt and Bruno is not taking advantage of it. Let him get too much life.
Lewis still tentative, seemingly wary of Bruno's power. Bruno remembering to go to the body there, and he gets a left hook on the chin as his reward.
Bruno better keep that left hand up. Whatever he does, keep that left hand up. I don't know why Lewis is not throwing more left hook.
Lewis isn't doing much of anything right now, George, but there's a jab. Lennox just not very busy in there.
A left hook could take him over the top.
Bruno still beating the champion to the punch time and time again.
Good right hand by Bruno.
Good left jab by Lewis. Doesn't follow up. One punch at a time for the champion, sometimes a double jab. There it was.
That right hand cannot take that many missed punches, and those right hands are starting to hurt Lennox Lewis' hand. He has to rest it every time he throws it like that. He's got to rest it.
You got it down, George. Every time he throws the right, he stops punching for the next 10 seconds. Loading up. Bruno puts him in the corner and misses with the right over the top.
He'll have to do it a lot more if he's going to get this fight going in his direction.
Frank Bruno has never lost a fight on a cut. Mickey Van says, take the grease off of Lewis's face, and now we see that there is a cut above Lennox's his left eye. Excuse me, getting excited about this. That is Lennox Lewis's left eye, which is cut on the upper lid. So now his eye becomes a factor, just as Bruno's is. Right hand landed for Lewis. Didn't stun Bruno. Over the top, missing, and then losing his balance as he goes to the body.
His gloves should be wiped off now. You could really...
Right when he goes!
It's getting colder here. Temperature probably dropping below 50 degrees outside the ring. The fighters have the benefit of the ring lights, which warms it up by about 10 degrees. Crowd chanting, Bruno, Bruno. Lewis missing wildly and holding on. Bruno pumping him inside with short right hands.
Lennox Lewis is having a lot of problem with his vision at this point, too. Probably because he hasn't been in this kind of trouble before in a fight. Don't know how to just sit back and cruise. Get your vision back, so to speak.
Right hand landed for Bruno as he pulled away. Left eye closing, right eye wide open as Bruno looks for every opportunity. Monumental upset in the offing here in Cardiff.
Bruno is starting to drop his left hand a little too much, though. Looking for a good left hook.
If it becomes a contest of cut men, the key men are Al Gavin in Lewis's corner and George Francis, the trainer of Frank Bruno. They'll be the men with the inswell who will be trying to stop the bleeding. Lewis coming alive a little bit here, George.
Well, he's starting to turn into a dog fight, which would favor Bruno because Bruno can just back up and protect his lead. First uppercut, a right uppercut.
And it was a good one which backed Bruno up, and it was thrown on the break, which was a clever move for Lewis, who realizes this fight is getting out of hand.
Lewis is starting to even land punches below the belt.
Referee Mickey Van appearing for the moment to lose control.
Bruno is always faded in the latter rounds. If he can keep up his spirit.
Remember that Bruno led on the scorecards late against Bone Crusher Smith, was TKO'd in the 10th. Led on the scorecards late against Tim Witherspoon, was TKO'd in the 11th.
This is the first time that Bruno has been the experienced fighter in the World Traveler.
A lot of lumps in this fight, more than one or two.
And they're using the in-swell in Bruno's corner to work on his left eye, but I didn't see Al Gavin doing anything with Lewis's left eye, which is swelling just as much on the upper lid. Oh, a terrific left hand and a right over the top by Bruno, who takes command again as this round begins.
Lennox Lewis has got to respect Bruno, and he could have a different fight. He just doesn't have any respect.
Lewis in trouble in the corner and lands a sensational left hook. What a comeback by Lewis. Now let's see if he can finish. Bruno in serious trouble. He's got him now if he can finish. Right hand over the top. It was a left hook that turned this around, and a frozen Frank Bruno is there taking punishment. And Mickey Van is going to stop it. No, he's not going to stop it. He is lecturing Lewis, holding and hitting.
Mickey Van has given Bruno a chance to recover. Can Bruno recover? He's going down.
It's amazing that Bruno stands up, and now Mickey Van stops the fight. It was a one-punch comeback. Lennox Lewis, desperately behind on the scorecards, produced a sensational left hook.
And who would suspect a left hook of all the punches?
Frank Bruno didn't, and that was his downfall.
You pointed out that Bruno took away the right hand, and you said, Larry, the question was, could Lennox find another way to win? He found the left hook.
Did he find it?
And it was a left hook that reminded me of the one in Tokyo that Buster Douglas put on Mike Tyson.
It was a left hook that reminded me of the one that Evander Holyfield used to turn around his fight with Bert Cooper in Atlanta a couple of years ago.
Lennox, congratulations on the fight. What turned it around for you?
I think I started to get warmed up. I got off to a slow start, and then finally, as the rounds went on, I started to get warmed up, and he started to slow down.
Are you saying you were cold in there because of this chill in the air?
Yeah, I was a bit cold. Even he was cold because I didn't see no sweat on his body. I was trying to keep some sweat on my body, but it just took me a while, and then I finally got together.
All right, take us through the fight. Were you surprised at how effective he was at what he was trying to do early in the fight, the first 3 or 4 rounds?
He was very effective. Actually, he's a lot better than I thought he was. You know, he came in terrific shape, and he came looking like he was going to try and, you know, pull it out. But, you know, I had full confidence in my own ability.
It looked like he was trying to take away your right hand by holding his hands high, and that frustrated or confused you for a while.
Not really, because he must have forgot that I had a terrific left hook. And that's when I realized after he started blocking my right hand, I started to go to the body with the right hand, and then I said to myself, I'm going to come around with the hook and let him see my hook. All I have to say to the people, I pick good opponents, guys that are going to give me a run for my money. I'm not going in there to look for any pushovers, and, you know, I answer the questions that were asked.
Thank you very much. Lennox Lewis, still the WBC champion.